There is something very satisfying about turning trash into treasure. So let me show you how to turn plastic bottles into bell jars. First, we need to hunt for the right bottles. You want a nice round top and a simple straight body. It was quite hard to find a bottle that didn't have the expiration date engraved into the bottle. Luckily, I found a bottle that had ink instead of an engraving on it. The ink came off with some alcohol, which in my case came in the form of hand sanitizer. Even perfume should work. Removing the labels might leave behind some sticky glue that sometimes comes off easily if you add a little oil and let it sit. In other cases, you will need a little more elbow grease to get the glue off. Initially, I was going to use a saw to cut off the bottlenecks, cause I've read that other people have done that, but right away I could tell that was going to take forever.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So I tried something else. Poking the bottle as close to the neck as possible with nail scissors. Unfortunately, that's also where the plastic gets thicker, so please don't hurt yourself if you try this. Next, we will cut off the bottle bottoms. To get a straight cut, one option is to use a permanent marker like this. This ink also comes off with hand sanitizer. Or you use tape as a guideline. Now we need to cover that hole at the top. I chose air dry clay for this. I covered the hole with masking tape, covered the bottle with cling film, and tried to make a little dome for the top of the bell jar. I realized that the masking tape kept moving underneath the clay, so it was impossible to get a perfect shape. Instead, I just tried to make a rough shape that I can sand down later. After letting that dry for a few hours, I took it off the bottle so it could dry completely. Instead of using masking tape, I also tried covering the hole with newspaper strips covered in glue and water. Once that was dry, I removed it, put it back on and cut it into a circle. Then I added clay to the paper. This method was quite similar to the masking tape one, but I think the paper gives the clay a little extra strength in the thinner areas. Next, I used a file and sandpaper to create a more even dome shape. I recommend wearing a mask for this part. I then covered the clay with black acrylic paint. You can either keep the dome plain or make a more fancy top for your bell jar. Here I added another piece with super glue. Unfortunately, hot glue is not the best glue to use on plastic bottles. So instead I scratched the edge of the opening with a needle and used super glue to attach the domes. The super glue can leave behind some white residue, so I covered that with black paint and a disc of black craft foam. The base of the bell jar is also recycled. I cut out 2 circles from a cereal box and a few strips that were 1 cm wide. I then connected the strips with a glue stick and created a ring as wide as the discs we cut out before. I realized that it would have been helpful to use clasps on the paper strips so you don't have to hold them so much while they dry. I just kept adding more strips until the ring was a few layers thick. To make the outside look smoother, I added strips of thinner paper and tore the edges for seamless transitions. I then glued the ring to one disc, trying to make it as round as possible. And for stability, I added another small ring of strips to the center. Now we can add the other disc on top and paint the whole thing with black acrylic paint. Now, what do we put inside these bell jars? I found this broken branch on my way to the dentist. I broke it into a shape I liked and painted it white. Then I cut out these paper bats and poked a threaded needle through them so I could hang them onto the branch. I didn't even glue the branch down because it wasn't really necessary. The bell jars can be used for seasons like Halloween or Christmas, but honestly you can put in whatever you like. And don't throw away the bottom of your bottle if it looks like this. I mean like this. You could turn it into gemstones. Here you can learn how. Thanks for watching!